All right. Well, and if no one else has any non-related to the scene questions, maybe we should get started with a little bit of an intro to the space, or maybe to ourselves, actually, for the people that are here who worked on this project.
Yeah, well, I'll start. Oh, sorry, I'm just trying to switch around here. I'm Brian. I work at REM5. We're a virtual reality space in St. Louis Park, which is right at, basically part of the Twin Cities. Amir is my, boss slash counterpart who's over there in the Matrix code. Amir, you want to chat a little bit about your history with the company?
Yeah, for sure. So I co-founded REM5 back in 2017, really to make high-end VR accessible for a variety of use cases. We have about 8,000 square feet. So we have a big physical space with about it's hard to keep track now, but we probably have 80 or 90 VR headsets now. Combination of Vive Pros, Quest 2s now, and Oculus Go's. And on nights and weekends, we do a lot of pre-COVID, we do a lot of corporate events and entertaining. Really doing a lot of missionary work, getting local thought leaders in the community into VR headsets, because as you all know, that's where the real magic happens. And then during the day, we're focused on two verticals: K through 12 education. As I'm sure I don't need to convince anybody in this room, VR is a very powerful tool for educational purposes, but it can be challenging for schools to access the hardware and then ultimately implement VR into their curriculum. So we work with a variety of local schools and have worked with a couple thousand students in the last couple of years, kind of integrating VR into their curriculum. And then the last piece of our business is cultural competence and emotional intelligence education. So we spend a lot of time working with schools all the way to Fortune 500 companies, utilizing VR to teach some of the softer skills, if you will. It's been a fun ride the last couple of years. And then obviously with COVID in March, not allowing us to do what we do best, and that's put VR headsets on people, literally, we have really leaned hard into WebXR, and the Mozilla platform's been awesome for us. And Brian and I have kind of led that team over the last 6 months, and we've been working on a variety of projects ranging from art exhibitions all the way to projects like this, where we're trying to leverage this technology to still be a resource for our community partners to tell the stories that really need to be told, more so now than ever.
Yeah, agreed. And the irony is not lost on us that both Amir and I are on desktop right now, but that's been the biggest piece of utilizing WebXR and kind of discovering this platform, is that we can now reach the other 99%, and that really is kind of a core audience for us, especially in a space like this where we can reach out to diversity, equity, and inclusion educators, especially in kind of the corporate and community spaces, to allow hundreds or thousands of their members or employees to kind of come through a space like this that really can have a lot of impact. And so, yeah, like Amir said, we kind of went from 0 to 100 basically in April, playing around with a few different WebXR tools before we kind of have basically landed and been with hubs for 90% of that time, and probably a mix of, we've made a lot of spaces and held a lot of events and really gotten this in front of a lot of people, but we are still learning a ton of stuff all the time. I think especially from the last tour and kind of diving deeper into the Discord, there's a ton of really smart people out there that can really get us some tips and tricks to better optimize these spaces, and then just be working smarter all the time on how we're kind of rolling this stuff out. So so as you'll see with the space like this, John and I were just talking about Minneapolis, and a lot's been going on here over this summer, and kind of to back it up, what Amir was saying, when they started REM5 over 3 years ago, VR as an empathy tool has always been an incredibly powerful part. You can walk a mile in someone else's shoes, literally. So beyond this space, which really focuses on, racial inequalities right here in the Twin Cities, which is where we're based, and it made a ton of sense to kind of, utilize this platform for content consumption. You could go to the Walker, which is an art center, or you could go to the U of M and try to build out this type of space for $5 million if you wanted to, or you get someone like Amir to stay up all night for a few weeks and kind of hash it out virtually. So that's been really exciting for us to get this in front of people. And I think kind of a big thing since we did this tour last time is we've actually had a lot of corporate groups and local leadership groups in the community inside of our physical space, where we have 12 Vive Pros set up, and then they would all tour this space connected virtually, but also in the same physical space, which I think might be pretty novel as far as Hub's use has been. So that's been pretty cool to see, and kind of another way where we're able to utilize our physical location while also still doing kind of this type of content consumption and empathy work inside of a shared virtual space like Hub. So this platform's been really cool to utilize for that extent, and again, just kind of some ways that we continue to pivot over the last couple of months here. So definitely been interesting to get that reaction from those type of corporate groups, and be able to have kind of an impact with what's all going on, literally down the road from us here in Minneapolis and the Twin Cities. So
this is such a cool space. I just wanted to note too, like you mentioned about how you've learned quite a bit from our community. I mean, I think everyone on the dev team as well. For those who don't know me, I'm the community manager for Hubs. And I think everyone on the dev team is constantly learning also from the amazing people in our community who also are there answering questions and just creating cool spaces. And I just wanted to note that, like, as you mentioned, that the thing that you're doing where you're using in-person Vive ports and stuff to explore these spaces is pretty, like, we're a new product really. And so it's really cool to see like how you folks are pushing the envelope and using it in ways that we have not seen previously. And your work that kind of the hybrid between virtual galleries and real life spaces is super cool. So I'm not going to take up any more time because I want you to have a chance to like show people around, but I just wanted to mention that.
Yeah, no, for sure. And like you're referencing the last tour, and we've got some videos on YouTube. We did talk about how we used Hubs with Quests to combine a virtual art gallery and a physical one, and that was pretty cool to get a lot of really good conversation from the community, and another time where we were learning a ton too, and just kind of getting to test and experiment as we go. So that's been really fun for us, and that's led to a lot of new projects and new avenues outside of this. But yeah, let's definitely kind of walk through the space. I know we did make the range of my voice a little bit smaller, because spaces like this are really good for contemplation and kind of private conversations, and not, you don't really need to be hearing as someone's kind of working through some of this content in here. So yeah, definitely just stick close. And then actually right behind this, the MPLS sign over here, there's a link to a gallery that we will go to, maybe in 5 or 10 minutes if we have some questions and kind of make our way through. That is a Black Lives Matter gallery that we did in collaboration with a group out of Shanghai. So kind of an interesting trifecta of people involved on that project too. And Amir was really close with that one as well. So yeah, let's just kind of take a stroll. And if you have any questions, feel free to do the chat bar or just to come up and ask them. And then yeah, in a couple of minutes, we'll make our way around and we'll enter the new gallery space that we haven't gotten a chance to show you all. So
amazing.
Onward.
And for anyone who is finding the volume of voice, so they want to change it, if you point at someone and open up the controls on them, so that's using the space bar if you're on your desktop, or on VR, it depends on the device you're using, but there should be volume controls over people's heads. So if you want to turn them up or down, that can be kind of helpful to know.
Yeah. Crank up my voice at your own discretion. But yeah, let's just take a stroll. hitting his head against the keyboard for a while, because we've really been trying to figure out and just get really smart on how to control audio in a space. So, right, like you would be in a normal, if this was a normal museum, you could come in here, you'd hear this video playing and it would kind of be confined to that room with physical speakers. So I think that's been kind of some of our biggest learnings has been just audio settings and kind of playing around and publishing until we can kind of get it right. So Amir, I don't know if you have any insights rather than just a lot of test and publish, but yeah, if you come around the corner, especially, there's kind of some of these audio pads that'll give an example of physically marking for people to realize, I'm going to listen to.
On the video in this room here, we're kind of using this space for people to peruse at their own pace. Not perfect, but it gets the job done. And then we try to add subtitles to any of the videos that we're using in our spaces as well, just to help that process along.
Kind of like in a museum when you'd have those downward like plastic cone type things that help put an audio that can play right down on top of your head. This is a similar concept that was really smart work from Amir. Can utilize to kind of have that impact. So
I mean, the reality is most of the users that we're having into the space, one, don't have headsets, and two, moving in this medium is completely foreign to them. So we're trying to make this accessible for grandma and grandpa, for lack of better terminology, from a tech standpoint. So adding these audio zones was super helpful in terms of triggering people to how to interact with the space. Like Brian said, just like, really sounds cliche, but just like in real life, how you would design a real physical gallery space.
Yeah, I think that was one of the things that really struck me in this scene, was how interesting it was to be able to jump onto one of those spaces and then like move out of it to not hear that audio anymore. It reminded me a lot of being in a real gallery.
Yeah, it's pretty slick, and I think we're definitely gonna utilize that a lot more moving forward.
And then really just bigger picture in terms of again, trying to, when Brian and I look at WebXR, we're really focused on how do we provide incremental value to content delivery versus a PowerPoint in Zoom, right? I mean, that's basically the alternative right now. And so like the graphics back here were a way where, okay, if we can just spice up some of these graphics, that you typically see on a PowerPoint slide where a user has to kind of walk over and can kind of feel the gravity of the statistics, if you will, it just becomes a more interesting way to digest the content versus a PowerPoint, which I think we can all agree we've seen enough PowerPoints the last 6 months.
Yes, I agree with that.
And then, yeah, let's just stroll around kind of the corner here. We've plopped a 360 photo that Amir took down at the George Floyd Memorial that has been both really impactful for people who, can't come to Minneapolis and see it for themselves. Really cool asset, and Amir and I are both, as far as working with VR, having 360 cameras has been incredible to see how they've developed in just the last couple of years, and will continue to. And I know, especially with hubs, it's going to be a kind of a vital use in the very near future. So. they figure it out eventually is kind of the bottom line. So
one tip of note is with the 360 pictures, if you're in VR trying to teleport around, it won't actually let you teleport out because the teleport kind of laser gets caught on the object itself. So we've had to learn that the hard way.
Yeah, we've seen other people, and I know it's not a super straightforward process. I don't think it's super easy, but we've seen people who've like built kind of structures around 360 videos and images, and then you can make a doorway somehow, and I don't know how, it's beyond my capabilities, but it makes the affordance of like what to do, like to go and stand in the center of it, a little bit more clear for folks. But I do love this incorporation of like a 360 photo of the space.
Yeah. Is there a way to set up layers? Sorry, is there a way to set up layers of like what is hitting the teleport beam and what is not, or what the teleport beam will hit and what is not? Just as kind of technical, so maybe not the best time, but
there is a setting that you can toggle on an object that will disable that pop-up from happening when you're inside the sphere, and I can't recall off the top of my head what it is. I have to go into Spoke and poke around. Yeah. Let me fire up Spoke in another tab and see if I can figure out what that was.
And I think that there was a few questions that were asked in the chat. One of them was Mauricio. Mauricio, if you could repeat that question, that'd be helpful because I didn't actually catch it. And then there was another one that I think
How did they solve the teleport issue from inside of the sphere?
yeah, I think Amir might have typed back that we just try to get people to skate out with their separate controller.
with the move.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see that was the answer. I thought that was the second question. Thanks,
oh no,
Amir,
yeah, I think that was Amir just applying to him. But that's tough because like we've also been seeing too now that like we want to, as we're creating even more kind of like materials in our space for people to read and have like a little bit of a physical, kind of a controls sheet, as well as like we do some onboarding both virtually and in person at events to try to lean into getting them to start with teleportation, because as we know, skating and kind of all of a sudden getting that kind of movement for someone who just put on a headset can be detrimental. So some people will pick it up and especially the younger kids, like moving around's no issue, but we don't want someone to hop in and start sliding around and, fall over or feel sick and not be able to enjoy the experience. But we had at one of our leadership events, a week ago, we had someone in the space and, she was trying to move around and it just wasn't, I think it was a mix of that with maybe her bifocals was kind of not a great experience, but that pod happened to be a desktop, so I just pulled it up in a browser and let her cruise around in 2D. So I mean, that's just another great example of like having that backup option. And we don't even really think of it as a backup option. I mean, the 2D version is our go-to, and we just happen to also have a lot of headsets that we can put people in. So it's kind of a win-win, but a good just, actually seeing it happen where it's like, oh man, like it's great that you don't just have to sit this one out, right? So thank you again, Hubs, for making that possible for us.
So this photo here, is it just a photo, or is it just an image, 360 image in Spoke, or is this a geometry with a texture applied?
This is an actual 360 photo. Yep.
Okay. So in Spoke, if you select the object, there's a little radio button called Controls, and I think if you just turn that off, that will disable being able to inspect it when you're standing inside and you right-click.
Awesome. I will write that down so that I can check that out later. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks.
Sure. I've had that problem in scenes before when I've used a 360 image as my skybox, And then when you right-click to teleport anywhere in the scene, you just get a pop-up of the object spinning around in the center of your tab. You got to just toggle that controls button, and it fixes it.
Oh, that's really good to know. I learned so much from these meetups.
No, for real. Well, any more questions? Otherwise, probably just for sake of time, we'll pop over the second space. Also, just another general shout out, and I can put this in the Discord too, is that, you know, we'd love to work and connect this space to community groups or to corporate partners. I mean, there's a lot of different ways that we want this information to be able to be harnessed by people. So if you have any ideas or want to set something up, I mean, yeah, just reach out to myself on Discord or Amir, and you know, we'd love to just chat more about that opportunity. So
one other thing too, Brian, I'm sorry, I'm not sure if you had touched on it in the prior meeting, but in a lot of our in real life events here at REM5, we utilize a mobile platform to get live feedback from users as they go through some of these experiences. We use one of the platforms called Meet.ps. Some of you might have used a similar platform at a conference. You know, sometimes they'll do polling or Q&A, and then you can enter on an anonymous basis, and then a big board will show people's responses. And so when we're hosting events in this space, we'll oftentimes use that as well, and then live stream the results of the feedback into the space. So like we'll put a screen up on and use a Twitch feed and just stream the results right back into the space to really give that more interactive, almost real life event feel that's worked really well in the past.
Yeah,
that's fantastic.
Super cool. Before we jump into the other space, I just want to take my screen recording camera and just like walk around the rest of the space really quickly. So could we just take like maybe 2 more minutes to explore?
that's good.
Fixed interest rates. You could create pathways to homeownership.
Super comfortable around tech. So in a lot of the more recent spaces that we've been building for more corporate training type events, we've been putting a lot of wayfinding in. So a lot of arrows on the floor, even building maps to show people. You know, to I guess to me, it's very comfortable and normal to navigate an environment like this, but sometimes we forget that for most people this can be a little bit out there for them. So holding their hand as much as we can has been really helpful.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Great.
Should we head to the other space?
To somebody who's not familiar with technology, and I tell them, pull the trigger. The first one is which one's the trigger. It becomes difficult to even operate in a VR space when that language isn't matching up.
Yeah, I mean, usually if we're putting somebody in VR, we'll actually be there with them. That process will be a little bit different. But like Brian said, for better or for worse, most of the work we've been doing the last 6 months has been targeted at PC users. And so we've spent a lot of time putting together, like if you go to our website, Brian, and you want to watch Brian really in action, he put together a fantastic onboarding video that we basically require anybody to view before they even enter a space. Otherwise, if you don't kind of have that, if you don't get them to spend 15 minutes before an event really understanding how to navigate the platform, you end up spending the first 20 minutes of any event just getting people up to speed.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
But on the hand tracking stuff, yeah, we integrate hand tracking into some of the more, the training work that we do in headset. So we love it, and we think it makes, again, VR super accessible because you don't have to deal with the controllers. But we have not spent any time integrating it into the work we've been doing on WebXR. But it's on our list.
Okay, awesome, interesting.
Excellent. Well, yeah, let's all hop through the portal here and check out this next space.
Okay, this is the portal here. Okay, great. Hi there. If you're just joining us, you'll just need to come over to, there's a link to a new room we're going to be heading to. Oh, hey, it's you. It's you. No, I'll send you a link to the new room we're going to, okay?
Get through this, I can. Haha.
That's a good question about the textures. I mean, I'm sure Amir kind of probably did it similar to how we've been doing it in the past. Is that, I mean, we found out that, you know, we try to scale everything down as much as possible, but even you know, I don't know, say something 700 by 1,000 pixels, like you bring it into the space or you convert it into a 3D object that it looks like kind of more of a canvas or a frame setup, it still looks great in here and in headsets. So we've been surprised that like you can bring something way down and it'll still look just fine, which is kind of bizarre. And it's one of those, I'm sure, tech holes of hubs that we don't understand the actual reason for it, but it works, and that's all we need to know. So I don't know if that answers the question, and we'd have to get the exact ones, but you know, in some of our galleries, we've made the work to scale. So it's like, oh, I'm looking at generally what it would be to purchase it. So that's what we did with our other art gallery. But I think to have a lot more impact in this gallery, Amir made stuff really nice and big, which, hey, it's like, hey, why not is usually the answer for WebXR stuff. So that was kind of most of the thinking behind it, and it helps kind of fill the space. And you know, this just looks like a really nice big modern gallery that you could imagine yourself walking into in real life.
So can I ask one quick question? And my apologies, I hung out in the other room for an extra minute or so to make sure that people got sent over to the right space.
Oh, for sure.
So the audio recording then didn't capture. What is this space? Can you just kind of really quickly summarize what the space is created for?
Yeah, for sure. Amir, you want to take this one?
Yeah, sure. So we connected, kind of a interesting backstory. We connected with a gal named Brittany Young, who's from Texas but runs a physical gallery in Shanghai, and we connected with her on Instagram just through some AR filters that I was making, and started conversation that way. And then that led to, hey, and this was early on in the pandemic when Brian and I had just picked up WebXR, and really just threw out the idea to her, hey, how about we collaborate on a truly virtual exhibition? And she was all for the idea, and so worked with her, and she really curated the entire space from artists all around the world with a Black Lives Matter theme, as you can see. And then we opened it about a month ago, and then she's been hosting weekly meetups in here where artists that have created this work from all around the world are giving live talks on their pieces, which has been really fun to be part of.
Oh, that's incredible. This space looks great.
Yeah, and Brian was just talking about how the one thing when working with art is obviously being very sensitive of the textures and how the work looks. And so we're always nervous when we get the actual artists in here for the first time. And we've been surprised at how pleased the artists have been with the look and feel of the textures in the space.
It looks incredible.
Yeah, and so this was really nice too that it did have that tie into a lot of Black and artists of color to use in the space, and then just how that ties in really nicely to the space we were just in. And I think, Amir, that's kind of the end game, is to link together a lot of spaces that all discuss these similar topics that can kind of allow people to stay in the experience even longer and to get to see a wide range of things. So kind of being able to link these hub spaces together has been really exciting for us, because it's just, you know, you can see in your mind this kind of map of places that can exist kind of within, you know, one bubble. So more spaces to come, I guess.
Oh, hi, Matt.
Hey,
Hello.
Matt.
Not sure if you can.
So cool to see you in the space. Excited for your meetups too. That calendar looks awesome.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks.
And actually, Anthony Burchell is someone who we were talking to super early on. So it'll be cool to hear more from him. So that's great.
Yeah, really excited about how we put together that WordPress conference. It looks cool.
For anyone in the room who's not familiar, Matt has started like a creators meetup for hubs, and so he's going to be giving tours and talks, kind of like what we're organizing today. And the next one coming up is with Anthony and Burchell. I don't know how to say his last name, but he created a really cool custom conference venue for a WordCamp meetup or WordCamp conference that was happening recently. All right. Can we have like a moment to just kind of wander around this space?
Yeah, let's take 2 or 3 minutes, and then if anyone was interested, I'll change the scene on my end to our music venue, and we'll kind of close it out from there.
I would love that.
Yeah, let's do it. All right.
That make the streets feel like a slaughterhouse. Wear that skirt the length of holy, the kind that does not ask of anything still. He asks of me to smile, as though an unsheathed knife uncurls the lip. His hello is a warning shot. Clap of bones, whir of bullet. I imagine he makes
mid-June. But yeah, I'd have to double check with Amir on the exact kind of logistics behind that. That's kind of in his camp. So
Brian, I would love to know a little bit more about for people who wanted to explore this space. Like, obviously, you folks didn't create it for just to like live in private. Is it public at all, or are there like scheduled events that happen here that people can take a look at?
Yeah, this space is linked on our website, which for kind of the WebXR work we've been doing is REM5forgood.com. And so, yeah, it's kind of it's a delicate balance. So like the space we were just in, One City, Two Realities is not publicly open just because we are doing more private events at this time, but we do see it being a publicly open space in the future. So this one, if you go to rem5forgood.com, we kind of have a list of our WebXR spaces and a little bit more information behind all of them, and then a link to enter this space through its own instance. And then as far as events that are going on, if you follow, so the art group behind this is Be Young Arts, and they're pretty active on Instagram for sure. So, and they also have a website. But I would definitely go to them, because this has kind of been one of those spots where we've handed over the keys in a sense, where it's like, hey, we love collaborating on the space, but now we'd love for you guys to kind of drive and do artist talks and host meetups, whenever you want, which is kind of our end game for a lot of our collaborations in the future, right? So this was definitely a first good example of what that can look like from our standpoint too. That we love being able to get to those, but when they're 12 hours plus behind, it's kind of good to, as John would know, it's good to have those able to run by themselves. So yeah, definitely a mix of that. And having that the 24/7 gallery, especially for art, has been crucial.
I've shared just like during this meetup, just in case anyone tried to join and they were 30 minutes late or whatever, and I wanted them to know where we were. I put a link to this room in our Discord channel. Do you want me to remove that afterwards, or is it okay for us to leave that after the event if people want to come and take a look at the gallery?
Yeah, no, that's perfectly fine.
Okay, great.
I'd love to have them do that if they need to. So.
Because this is a very inspiring spot. I just love how realistic the paintings look inside of this space. Like I feel like I'm at a real gallery.
Yeah, and that's been not really our little secret. It's our little workaround that we've been doing with art is just, kind of extruding them to make them give this sense of 3 dimensions. Because otherwise, it's just you've got that 2-dimensional, PNG to hang on the wall, and this just makes such more of an impact for both feeling like a real canvas piece and for our, I'm sure John knows a much better way to do that, but for our not as technical in the 3D department space, it's been a really easy, like scarily easy way to do that. So.
I think you might have mentioned this while I was coming in, but I did not hear. Was there like a specific technique you used for that, or did you just use like how did you create the kind of 2D effect?
Yeah, it's all just done through 3D Builder, which is like the standard operating little software on for us on PC. But
amazing.
Yeah, no, it's actually wild because you just give it. It goes from being this kind of static object all of a sudden having like real presence on a wall, and it looks great. And then you can get funkier with stuff too. Like I've been utilizing it more as like a way to glitch and kind of make more art objects. I'm not a sculptor, but I can take an image I've created and give it wacky kind of 3D qualities without knowing too much about Blender. I've dipped a few toes, but that's just a whole nother animal that we kind of are taking a lot of time to network and create community and build out these spaces that we've not exactly just dove deep into becoming 3D experts. So it's a bit of the trade-off, but luckily Hubs has made it easy enough for us to kind of pretend our way through a lot of things and through the Discord, just learning so much more all the time. So thanks again to everybody on there and to these meetups that we just always have great takeaways from. Awesome. Well, any more questions on this space? Otherwise, this is always open on our website. And I guess if anybody's interested, I was telling earlier that we hosted kind of a unique hybrid music event on Saturday night. It was our first run through of basically having people in our physical space connected on the Vive Pros, but in a shared Hubs music venue that we created. And it went pretty well. There's some interesting learnings, especially from trying to live stream in the space. So basically we had a DJ in our physical space, live streaming to Twitch back into our music venue. But then you kind of run into the audio delays, not only between real life and Twitch, but then from Twitch, even slightly into Hubs. For the DJ, that's not always ideal. And, with music, if you're even a beat off, trying to play music back into the space, it gets a little bit hectic. Or if you're into that, it gets really cool. So, but so I'll just take you to kind of this music venue that we set up just for kind of some trial runs. And if anybody has any questions, I also have a glow stick machine in there so we can all play with glow sticks. Which turned into a ton of fun, because all of a sudden you got everyone's in their Vive Pros and they've got hands and you're creating these glow sticks and making them the size of like fighting batons. So I actually just put up a recap video on YouTube of that event, so I will share that to the Discord and probably to Twitter and other places later this week. So
I can't wait to see that.
Yeah, so I'm gonna change the scene real quick and oh no, am I not gonna change the scene real quick? Okay, so this happened previously, and this might be a workaround. So One City, Two Realities, I have admin access to, but this space I don't. So I think if we all do we all need to go back? This might be more of a Hubs technical question. Do we all need to go back through the portal to one city, and then I actually will be able to change the space from there? Or if I go back and change the scene, will we all go together? I don't want to lose anyone, so.
Yeah, so the way that it works right now is you do need to be an administrator in the room, and it looks like no one here has those moderation controls. So we'll need to either go back to that one, or if you have another scene that has it already in it, or another room with it already as the scene, we could jump over there. But there is a link inside of this space to the other one, right?
Yeah, let's all just hop back over, and it's a little bit of a workaround, but yeah, that's been kind of a thing. See, completely different than 5 seconds ago. There we go. Now I've got the power. All right.
This is an awesome space, by the way.
Yeah, thank you. This is a really big Amir's child from earlier, so he's put a lot of work into it, and again, just kind of that whole museum style just makes so much sense here. All right, here we go.
No, this is fun. I like it.
So, yeah, just a little bit of background. This was like the first test of I'm a big live music fan, and so not having that is kind of annoying as of recent in the last couple months. So this was like our first test run as to like, all right, let's use WebXR and hubs to do live music and kind of work. You know, I'm not like a Twitch or a stream expert, so kind of teaming up with other people who are. But yeah, and when kind of the big thing here is we didn't want to reinvent the wheel, so we got this really cool kind of palace, and then just made the venue inside of that, and then put it in this outer space floating platform, of course, too. So come on in.
That reminded me a little bit of like the TV show Cribs or whatever, where the person's showing people around their house and it's like, come on, let me.
As you'll see, we've got the glow stick dispenser. You know, you got to have that in the fridge for sure. Keep them stocked.
Oh, that's awesome.
I don't know if everybody still has ability to grab one or not, but so yeah, when we were in here with people, you know, having hands to dance is pretty crucial. And so we have two streams running. The one on the back wall was a live stream of the DJ, so everyone still got to see him. And then I have like a little 3D DJ setup, so people got to come up here and play DJ for a bit. And then the stream on the floor, I'm a VJ, so I run visuals at concerts anyways. So I streamed my visuals into the floor and then put this, you know, the water effect on top, and it looked pretty freaking awesome actually. You know, to make a 5,000 square foot LED dance floor is something that I can't do in the real world. So so thinking through like kind of basically building venues and using live streams to make video walls is really exciting for me. And also now with the media frames, probably rethinking streaming and just doing more of a shared screen. So
yeah,
learned a lot from Saturday night, but I think people had a ton of fun. And you know, we'll probably do a lot of these too, where it's like, hey, you know, I'll set up your Twitch stream and you guys can kind of just run it yourself. You know, I'll be in there to hang out, but we don't have to do an in real life event like we did on Saturday. But the model of doing, you know, 12 connected vibes and maybe 8 quests all in the shared space, in the physical space, is pretty cool. So we'll hopefully have some kind of record in the near future. Maybe, I don't know if anyone's keeping track, but or if anyone's done
were there any
cool,
videos of what the floor ended up looking like, because that sounded really awesome.
Yeah, you'll be able to see that in the recap. I'll post that to the Discord as well. But yeah, it was kind of, you know, I was also doing hosting and doing 360 video and normal video of the event, so I had it on a bit of a run itself type thing. But yeah, it looked great. You know, minus a few of the general issues, and I'm sure I can learn a lot more from people who have used Twitch and have done kind of more of the live events. Just kind of a lot of times with video freezing and, you know, but it would always be weird because I'd be in one headset or I'd be on my computer in the space and it would freeze, and then I'd go over to somebody else's and everything would be perfectly fine. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go with the assumption that everybody's fine and not having any problems, and people are playing with glow sticks. And so you get to see a lot of that in the recap video. I I went into a headset and took a lot of screen recording that way, and we just had a ton of fun. So, we
That's
probably
awesome.
we probably ended
This
up
is really exciting.
Yeah, we probably had maybe only 6 or 7 actual headsets connected this weekend, but we have the potential to do much more than that. And this was a bit of a test run. So, but for the most part,
it gets a little complicated when you're bringing in like Twitch streams and stuff like that too, as you mentioned. Like sometimes they just like don't, they just kind of stop on one device and whatnot. But it's really awesome that you tried that out, and I find that they're like pretty reliable, but then they, it's hard to get that feedback when they're not going to be working super well.
Yeah, for sure. And I even learned from the Discord too about like I'd just been using the link function, but you can just use a link in the video function and kind of have more control over the audio that way. So I was like, all right, well, that's a nice workaround. But even too, kind of what we ended up doing was that like, right, so the Twitch stream was up here of the DJ, and that's where like his audio was coming from. And like in an ideal world, everybody's hearing the audio in the virtual space. But since we had him DJing in the physical space as well, we ended up just like cranking it in the real world. So you just all heard it in real time rather than, different beats in your virtual setting, which ended up being kind of fine. It takes a little bit away from like the purpose of coming in here, but yeah, we're learning and we're figuring it out. And you always want to make sure that the DJ is happy and that his sound quality is what he wants to be. And so that was kind of the most important part at the end of the day. But how many of you had in the room at the same time, Max? I mean, we've pushed low 20s at some of our other events. This was our first one of these as far as doing a music event. But yeah, I would see us doing probably 20 connected people in our physical space, which is set up really nice for socially distancing. And so, yeah, we hope to do another one of these next month and all this winter, really, whether it's hybrid or remote. So for Saturday, we didn't send the link out to like the internet. Otherwise, I would have loved to have people join in. We wanted to kind of keep it like, a little bit more special, that you're with us in the physical space and you're also, in this cool virtual venue type thing. So, in the future, would we just create there's a room that's just for people remote and there's a room for people that are just in the shared physical space? Like, I don't know, it's all possible. So that's nice. We'll, the future, we'll see what the future holds as far as this goes, but definitely people are very hungry for live music. And, you get those huge headlines like 7 billion people were all in Fortnite together watching a concert or whatever numbers they want to make up. But, we think kind of having these smaller, more intimate events with hubs can be really fun and impactful. And we're even talking with a lot of new potential clients that could have a bit more power to bring in, to do multiple rooms and really have technically, a few hundred people, maybe even 1,000 people concurrently together. So that would be awesome. That's kind of the end game, and what people are always asking us. The answer is always, it's possible. Time and money solves a lot of problems, but
one group, I don't know, Brian, if you saw that we were doing a tour of the Magical Crypto Friends space last week. And anyways, the video is not live yet, but I'll share it with you when it is. But they did, they were able to do room sharding. So like you automatically get put into a room once you get over to 25 people. And like, so people would automatically get grouped into the right space. And then they were sharing one person in VR amongst multiple rooms. And I don't actually know how they managed to do this from a technical standpoint, but I'm trying to encourage them. I'm hopefully they'll be able to share some of their code. If not, I think that Matt in his meetup is going to be having them go through like a bit of like a technical talk about like how they approach these things. But it was cool to see that people in our community are actually building these things out. It's super, super exciting. And I could see some potential for that if you wanted to do like something that was a little bit bigger than, the standard 25 hubs room, but have kind of a shared experience throughout them all. Anyways, I digress. But
yeah, no, I mean, that's great to know that that's even possible. Right?
Yeah,
So.
I don't know how, but someone did it, and so that was kind of cool to see. Anyways, just to be mindful of the time, I just wanted to ask: does anyone else have any like last questions for Brian about these spaces?
Awesome. Well, thanks everybody for coming out. I'm glad we got to show a couple of our new spaces, and we've got even more. I mean, the music venue realm, I've got like 7 more venues just like sketched out in my notebook, which I'm excited to kind of build. And yeah, thanks everybody. And it's just like my ideal end game is like, all right, how do we do like a 7-stage connected New Year's festival? So maybe I'll have to start working towards that.
Man.
Oh my goodness, that would be so cool.
Because right, it's like all these people are live streaming, and they have been for the last couple of months. It's like I will help you actually take that to the next level, right? So
that would be pretty fun to be able to move yourself physically from one kind of venue to another, rather than like just watching like a Twitch stream. Like you could actually be there co-watching with other people, and then like, oh, I want to go check out this other DJ and like go to another side of the room.
Yeah, the logistics kind of scare me, but like, you can imagine when we entered this space, you turn around and there's, 6 other links, and you're kind of in this connected web, and also creating like a central hub that would act as like a festival grounds. If you've been to any major festival, you kind of have like a gathering space, and it's like, all right, now I'm going to go off to this stage, and then I'm going to go check out this stage, and then it's 3 a.m, and you just want to, oh, there we go. Thanks for the link. I'm going to
another thing that the Magical Crypto team did that was super cool was they had links that were like these magical portals. So when you went to go stand in a specific spot, you would like automatically transport you to the next room. I don't know about like, I don't know whether that's like a feasible thing for us to try to build out inside of hubs. In fact, I'm sure it's not on our roadmap, but I hope that they talk a bit more about that in the tech talk they give at Matt's event. Because it was really neat, because you just kind of go through this portal, and then all of a sudden it would automatically take you to the next room, which feels a bit more intuitive than pointing at something, clicking on it, and like jumping into the other space.
Yeah, no, that'd be great. It like a Rick and Morty looking portal, if anyone's familiar. Like that'd be the perfect way to get around hubs.
Nice.
Awesome. Well, thank you for the tour. We just love checking out these different spaces. What you folks are doing is super creative, and I'm definitely going to be telling everyone about the extruding thing for paintings when they're going to be doing art galleries inside of hubs. That's a super clever idea.
Yeah, I mean, and it's just wild how quick it is. Like so basically I refreshed that gallery we toured last time, but it had 43 pieces in it. So it's kind of a daunting amount, but it really is. You just load up the image, it automatically extrudes it, you save it back out as GLD, and like it's just a matter of time and kind of chugging through it. But there's 5 years ago, it just would have been an impossible task. So no one's complaining at all here. So
awesome, cool. Well, I'm gonna jump off, but thank you so much for the tour. And if people wanted to be in touch with you, you're in our Discord, right?
Yeah, I'm listed as Second Sight Visuals, because that was when I joined Discord. It was for doing Twitch concerts with other people. But I will make myself known, and I'll just actually post the recap video from YouTube as well.
Amazing.
Remind people that I'm from the REM5 group. So
perfect. I thought that was you, but I wasn't 100% sure, and so I wanted to just check.
Yeah,
I knew it was someone from your team, but
yeah, I'm not I need to be more of the Discord junkie. I'm on Slack 95 hours a day, and so I'm just like, all right, I will Discord, I'll dip a toe, but I need to clearly get a lot smarter on it. But
I totally hear you. We're pandemic life, right? Like just so many chat tools and stuff. You've got your Telegram, Signal, Slack, Twitter messages, like DMs. It's just outrageous. All right, well, thanks everyone for coming.
Awesome.
Bye.
Yeah, thanks.
See you.
See ya.